So we first use the Dutch law and the crisis law we have to make sure that there will be less influx of asylum seekers in the Netherlands. And that is something that we don't need the European Union for. That is totally compatible with European law.
In the heart of Europe, a country once known for its open and welcoming attitude has begun to close its doors. The Netherlands, famed for its tolerance and multiculturalism, now faces a turning point in its history as political leaders push for drastic changes to its immigration policies.
Netherlands. Close our borders right away to asylum seekers and immigrants originating from Islamic countries. We should withdraw from the Schengen Agreement and reintroduce our own border controls, in order not to provoke, but to demonstrate that we never give in to threats and violence, and that we proudly and firmly support our freedom.
Geert Wilders, the leader of the Freedom Party, has become the face of this movement. His calls to halt immigration from Islamic countries and pull the Netherlands out of the European Union's asylum agreements have resonated with a growing portion of the population. For years, Wilders warned of the threats he saw in mass immigration, and after decades of trying, his party has finally won the Dutch elections. Now, the Freedom Party is poised to reshape the nation's approach to asylum and immigration entirely. Wilders' vision is clear. He advocates for a zero asylum policy, meaning no new asylum seekers would be permitted to enter the Netherlands. He wants to reintroduce strict border controls, increase deportations, and enforce tighter regulations on those already residing in the country.
11% of Muslims in the Netherlands. That's 100,000 people, twice the size of the Dutch army. Let me finish my sentence. And they think it's justified in the Netherlands to use violence in the name of Islam. If you are not willing to see that, you are in danger.
We need to close our borders, Wilders proclaims in speeches across the country, not to provoke, but to protect our freedom. The shift isn't just about security or national identity. The Netherlands faces a housing crisis, and many argue that the influx of immigrants has strained the nation's resources. With a severe shortage of affordable housing.
3. Begin by dismantling Islamic institutions like mosques. Start by closing foreign-funded mosques, including those that receive funding from abroad and are under the authority of Diyanet, the Turkish Ministry of Religious Affairs, and not us. 4. Lock up anyone who threatens or uses violence or deport them from our country. And if necessary, take preventive action against those hundreds of supporters and thousands of sympathizers of the jihadist movement in the Netherlands. And 5, Chairman, request...
So why?
Wilders and his supporters believe that reducing immigration will help ease the pressure on public services. Many Dutch citizens, particularly those who have struggled to find homes, feel that their needs should come before those of newcomers. But immigration is just one piece of the puzzle. Economically, Wilders argues that job competition and pressure on the welfare system have also driven this change. In addition, cultural concerns have been mounting, with some in the country fearing that the growing Muslim population is altering the fabric of Dutch society. Wilders claims that 11% of Muslims in the Netherlands justify violence in the name of Islam only fuel the fears of his followers, even as others accuse him of stoking division and prejudice. The Dutch government's coalition, following Wilders' victory, has proposed the strictest asylum policy ever seen in the country. Beyond closing its borders to asylum seekers, the government plans to limit the number of international students and migrant workers entering the Netherlands. Foreign workers will need special permits, and employers will be held responsible for providing housing for them. Even students will face stricter requirements, with fewer spots available for non-European Union citizens and higher tuition fees for those who are accepted. As these policies take shape, critics argue that they run counter to the values the Netherlands once championed.
Indeed, without saying that all Muslims are bad people, we would want to stop the immigration and the import of more people from Islamic countries. We will do that the same day. People are waking up. This patriotic revolution where people want to find their own identity and are not racist at all, but want to fight for the preservation of their own people, their own country, their own values, their own money.
Historically, the Dutch prided themselves on being a refuge for those fleeing persecution and hardship. The country's liberal stance on immigration and asylum stood as a testament to its commitment to human rights and openness. But times have changed, and Wilders' rise to power signals a growing sentiment within the population that such openness may no longer serve the nation's best interests. The question remains, will the Netherlands fully break away from the EU's asylum policies, as Wilders has suggested? Denmark has already paved the way, negotiating an opt-out and enforcing a near-zero asylum intake. If the Netherlands follows suit, it could signal a broader shift in Europe, where more countries begin to prioritize national interests over collective European values. Despite the government's new stance, opposition voices remain strong. Many Dutch citizens fear that these changes will damage the country's international reputation and harm its economy in the long run. Skilled migrants and students contribute significantly to the workforce, and cutting off this flow could hinder economic growth. Socially, there is concern that such policies will deepen divisions within Dutch society, leading to further tension between different communities. As the Netherlands stands at this crossroads, the world watches closely. Wilders' bold moves to reform immigration may inspire similar changes across Europe.
And in so many other countries, the indigenous people are the people that are discriminated against. It's not the people who are entering our country. In Holland, people get housing, asylum seekers get housing, and they get preferential housing before the Dutch indigenous people. So who is discriminating who? And people are really angered about that.
But the consequences, both intended and unintended, remain to be seen. One thing is certain: the debate over immigration in the Netherlands and across the continent is far from over.
Own border. You are no Europeans, and you will never be. An Islamic state like Turkey does not belong to Europe. All the values Europe stands for, freedom, democracy, human rights, are incompatible.
What do you think about these policies? How do you see the future of immigration in Europe unfolding? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analysis of global events. Thank you for watching. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates and stories from Noble Black News. Stay tuned for more insightful content. Thank you.
A photo op 6 months in the making. A government coalition for the Netherlands, led by the far-right leader Geert Wilders, who promised to stay true to his party's hard line on immigration and to opt out of the EU's new asylum system, even if it took years to do.
So we first use the Dutch law and the crisis law we have to make sure that there will be less influx of asylum seekers in the Netherlands. And that is something that we don't need the European Union for. That is totally compatible with European law.